Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here. Welcome to this very special video. So I'm going to say straight from the hip, straight out, I will not be answering any questions about Shazam in the comments. Yes, I can confirm I am one of the few people who have actually seen a version of Shazam, right? Now, this isn't the finished version by any means. So when I go and see, I will see something quite different. So what did I think of what I saw? It's one of the funniest films I've ever seen. It's one of the funniest CBMs I've ever seen. It's one of the most entertaining CBMs I've ever seen. But don't misunderstand this. This isn't just a comedy. This has so many serious beats to this. Not only is this funny, but it's on a level as well as one of the most heartfelt, compelling superhero films I've ever seen. Zachary Levi. I mean, I've always loved Zach, always, because I've watched him for 5 seasons on Chuck. I loved the voice work he did on Tangled as well. I thought that was amazing. But this performance really is brilliant. What is amazing about this performance is that you look at him as both an adult and a child. You know, in his mind, he's a child. He's still that kid. That's the point with Shazam. He looks like an older guy, muscles and everything, but ultimately, he's a child. And Zachary Levi pulls this performance out of the park. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, people comparing it to Big. I mean, I suppose you could compare it to Hank's performance, but this is better than Hank's performance. What Zachary Levi has done with this performance is it's out of this world. You still believe he's that kid. Honestly, right? You still believe he's that kid in an adult's body. But is he a superhero or is he a superhero? Absolutely. So many Easter eggs, so many connections to the rest of the DCEU movies. And in that essence, you see, what you've got to understand about this film, this is more Walter Hamada's kind of way of the future of the DCEU than Aquaman is. Aquaman was a handover movie with a lot of influence from Zack Snyder, Deborah Snyder, you know, the Nolans, everyone who was involved with the DCEU first. Walter had a lot of involvement in that film, but this is the way. If you want to know how the DCEU movies will be in the future, this is the one you're going to have to see in April when it comes out. And, you know, this has got his palm prints in it all over. It is shared. It is totally shared. It's totally DCEU. And as I say, the Easter eggs, again, I'm not going to say anything about what I've seen. This is just a general opinion of what I've seen. As you can see, I'm very buzzed up about it. It's been a while since I saw it. It wasn't today. I had to wait a while to do this video, for obvious reasons. Yes, it feels like it totally feels like they're not ashamed of the DCEU. We had so many reports straight after Justice League of reboots, of the whole thing being thrown out and not being done anymore. Of course, I never believed it. Because what the 650 million for Justice League showed, yes, it didn't attract the couple of billion they wanted from a film like this, nor did it deserve that type of box office. But 650 million is still a good piece of money. It doesn't matter about what the film cost and blah, blah, blah and all of that. 650 for a film in these days is basically, I mean, look, they didn't make a profit out of that film. They just paid the bills. But it just means people were interested in it to a level, to a degree. But if it's time to move on from Justice League, right? That's gone. You know, Walter Hamada wasn't there. The mistakes that have been made are nothing to do with Walter. Walter's here now, and he's sorting this franchise out. And the version of Shazam that I've actually seen just tells me it is in fantastic hands. You will love this film. You will enjoy this film. Take your kids, take your husbands, take your wives, take your boyfriends, take your girlfriends, take your pets. No, you can't take pets into the cinema. Sorry about that. Not allowed yet in 2018 or 2019 as we're going in. You know, watching this cut of this film just struck me as I don't know. It just struck me that the tables are turning. Because I want to do a video about the failure of Disney in 2018, because they've got about 3 or 4 films that actually flopped. And I'm just looking at Warner Brothers, and I'm looking at their DC universe, and I'm now looking. I've seen Aquaman. I'm just so honoured to have seen a cut of Shazam, and very grateful for that. But I'm just seeing the tables turn now, because I really do believe the DC universe is. I mean, if you think about the Joker movie coming in October as well, I think we could have another great year for DC films. I mean, the Aquaman box office is massive. They told us we couldn't compete with Bumblebee, with the Flying Lady, what's her name, Mary Poppins Returns, Into the Spider-Verse. They told us that Aquaman would not be able to dominate the box office with these films, and it's crushed those films. Another video I want to do later on as well is about John Kasdan saying maybe Solo would have done better if it was released in December. John, hello, John. Aquaman is crashing everything. He's about to equal your entire global box office this Monday. So zip it. But let's get back to Shazam. Basically, the kids in this film, the child actors, are amazing. Amazing. What performances we get. David's directing for this film. He's done such a great job as well. It really is. I mean, because he's never done a superhero film before. There is a certain niche to directing a superhero film, and he's done a great job. And this is totally a New Line Cinema movie, and I can tell you, little bit of an exclusive, that New Line Cinema will pretty much be making the DCEU films from now on. I think you pretty much know that. Now, Wonder Woman 1984 is still the old regime. It's another handover movie, if you like. So it'll be Walter Hamada, but Zack and Deb Snyder, and I think even the Nolans may be execs on that. So that's a different one, and that'll be interesting what people think of that. But then again, the old regime put out the original Wonder Woman movie, and people loved that. So fingers crossed we can just go on a positive line now, because sooner rather than later, all these movies will be totally 100% run by Walter Hamada, and he's just literally, I mean, with the cut of Shazam that I've seen, really good. Because what I like films with a balance, right? And this film has a well-oiled balance of humour, but stuff that's on a level. The nuance of this character being a child who's been in foster care, who's been rejected all his life. That is not just performed beautifully by the child actor, but also is performed beautifully by Zachary Levi. I would expect nothing less. So I want to make it clear to you, this is not an 100% sitcom, if that's what you're worried about. But this film, if any film should be a little bit lighter, I think that Shazam can get away with it. But I expect people to embrace this film, especially families. Families will like this film. It gets you there as well. We've got another great supervillain, by the way. I don't want to say anything but that. But yes, on the whole board, this film, the cut I saw anyway, and there's no question. I saw a cut without any music. I'll tell you that as well. But what I saw was very, very good, very encouraging, and it's another. I think it's another win. You never know what they're going to do with the film. You see, when you go to these test screenings, you never know what you're actually going to get when it's released. So when you come on here, it's important to make it clear that you haven't seen a finished movie. And I think that's how you judge it. So, but what I saw was something very interesting, in places very mature, in other places very immature, as it should be. I just think it was really, really good. This is a superhero movie with zest, with youth in it. And if you're a kid, if you're a teenager, or you're below the teenage age, go and watch this film, because you're really going to have a good time. And I think this is what I respect about Warner Brothers opposed to Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm and Disney Star Wars have destroyed that IP by not listening to the consumer. But the reason Aquaman's doing so well right now is because Warner Brothers said, we are listening. I don't necessarily think the DCEU before Aquaman was bad, but it was obvious the mainstream audience had rejected what they were doing. So Warner Brothers had to take an L, and they have. And they've been honest enough saying, right, we're doing it the way that you want now. And this is why people, you see, one of the reasons Aquaman is so successful is because it's embraced the comics. James Wan insisted that Jason Momoa wore the comic book costume. You know, us comic book fans really appreciate these little touches of nuance, you know. So what would I give this cut of Shazam that I've seen? Listen, I enjoyed it, so I'm just going to give it 10 out of 10 because I totally had a good time watching it, even though it wasn't finished, even though it had no music. What I saw, as I say, was very, very, very encouraging, and it was just exciting to see the newsreels and the newspaper clippings of the stuff we saw of the trailer and all the other Easter eggs they were doing as well. Yeah, so it's really good, a really fun time, especially for a test screening, because when you go to test screenings, you can go and watch a barrel of shit, to be honest with you. It's not a great time for movies, to be honest. There's not a variety out there either. It pretty much is superhero movies. I mean, I love superheroes anyway, but this is where we are now. And we are in such a place with DC and Warner Brothers, they're in a place where they're walking that tightrope. They can't actually make any mistakes. And I think when you're under that pressure, it does force you to do to make what you're making better, and it makes you less lazy, if you like. So I think this is good for the fans. There can be no mistakes now, but I'd say yes. I'm very, very excited about Shazam. I'm very excited about seeing the finished cut and music being on it. It's going to be I tell you what, this is a movie everyone's going to be talking about when we get to April. We will talk soon. We will talk later. I promise.